will be honest with you, but at least some people are having fun. That's right. Trigger warning, millennial cringe. Okay, it's coming right at you. U.S. Senate candidate Mallory McMorrow is traversing the Michigan Democratic Party endorsement convention caucus meetings with a ban this afternoon. Bruh. This is Mamala. This is Pete Buttigieg. This is millennial cringe. This is a peak faillennial cringe, okay? And let me tell you something, folks. A lot of you are going to look at this and go, this sucks. I feel like the Michigan Democratic Party is exactly the type of people who will look at this shit and go, that's me. That's so me. She speaks to me, okay? Why do you hate fun? I truly feel like this is a lock. She has a lot more coveted endorsements from within the ranks of the party. The Warrenite branch. I would not be surprised if she gets it. Okay? I would not be surprised if she locks it down. I think Abdul obviously deserves it. I'm Mr. Endorser of Dr. Abdul El-Sayed. But this is exactly the kind of shit that the Dems love. And this is the MDP, right? This is where the inside baseball happens. And this is exactly the target audience for this kind of shit. So, yeah. Dr. Abdul responded to it, I saw, to which he said, that's what you get when you don't have a message. U.S. Senate candidate Abdul Sayed says the ban passes by his media availability. I agree. And people will say, oh, that's just joyless. It's like, well, you know, we're fighting fascism. Lock the fuck in, you know? That's my attitude about it. But, obviously a lot of other people will have different opinions. She doesn't say anything of value in this clip, and that's because McMorrow sent a policy paper to AIPAC for their endorsement. There's legitimate reason to be skeptical of anything she says. She wanted their support, but they were already fully backing Stevens. McMorrow may not get AIPAC funding from the official organization itself, but their donors fund her Senate campaign, and her stance on Israel and her Palestine is unclear. When a politician is so unclear about an 80-20 issue for her base, it's telling. To which UMich voter said, no winning over online leftists, it's best to ignore them. Loudest voices with demands about releasing policy papers equals one that would never budge. And misinformation and say, look at the policy sheet you just released and spam it on social media. Just like they mislead lifetime lobby donors from J Street equals AIPAC. Discourage evolution on policy, AIPAC comes out as the winner. It's constantly shifting goalposts with their vote. I like that this person is just straight up saying, I don't want to know about my candidate's like actual views. I don't want to know what my candidate has said to AIPAC about what their views would look like on an 80-20 issue. It's cool, man. Yeah. I mean, look, I have a dog in this fight, right? I'm open about it. Yeah, I like Abdul. The reason why I like Abdul is because I know what his positions are on this, right? I know what his positions are. You don't. But you also seemingly don't care. I guess that's the difference. Do we want to have democracy, or do we want to have oligarchs dominate the land and buy out our politicians? For many people on election Twitter, they don't care. They don't care if oligarchs buy out our politicians. Yeah, remember when people kept saying Hasan is not a Democrat? Turns out it's a good thing. Do you consider yourself more of a supporter of the progressive movement? 55% say yes. Only 45%, according to this NBC poll, say they consider themselves a part of the Democratic Party as opposed to the progressive movement. It's the majority now. I think it would be nice. It would be nice if all of these centrist Democratic Party boosters started recognizing that. Part of that already happened with Barack Obama. Barack Obama recognized it. Guys, the download completed. Shut up. Okay? Calm down. Yes, the download for Pragmata completed. Look. The point I'm trying to make is this. People within the ranks of the Democratic Party demand more. And Democrats are starting to recognize that. And they're trying to do everything they can to undermine that change. To not offer exactly what people want. Okay? To not offer exactly what people want. That is the goal here. Ultimately, they want malleable candidates in positions of power. Malleable candidates that will still put the corporate interest first before they put your interest second or sometimes last. So, remember that when we are fighting this battle and you are talking to others, when you are trying to get people to go out and vote, especially in the primary structure. The primaries is where the future of the party is decided. It's very, very, very important. Malleable McMorrow. What is this? It gets worse. He said, why weren't you happy with us recognizing the genocide? What is this? It's constantly shifting goalposts, but their voter support is never up for grabs. You should ignore and communicate to the normal public. The goalpost shifted so much. Recognizing that genocide is happening is no longer the post. Opposing offensive weapon sales is no longer the post. Emphasis on their support or vote is not up for grabs. I don't know how you morally reason with arming a country committing a genocide. The goal of the left was never to merely recognize the genocide that was occurring. It was to stop the genocide. And this is why this issue causes tension. Liberals have no real desire to stop the genocide. Yeah, I just don't understand why people just so openly will be like, come on, man. She recognized that it's a fucking genocide. What more do you want? It's like, okay, I don't know. If you actually recognize it, then, you should probably put an end to it, right? You should probably try to hold this institution, this entity accountable that has done this genocide, right? Like the significance of the term genocide is not just so we feel good that we got you to say it. We want you to also issue punishments accordingly. This is the problem. A lot of the election Twitter guys, especially those who are on the centrist variety, they only think about winning elections. Like they only think about this in terms of like, what can a candidate say that is mathematically calculable that will bring in the highest percentage of voters? This is not what we are looking for. We're looking for solving issues. Okay? The left wants candidates to actually make material changes that will be beneficial for the working class. Okay? It's not just about winning elections. The fact that those issues, especially left populism, is communicable, is easy to communicate, it's easy to understand, it's easy to comprehend, and will help win elections is an added benefit. Okay? It's an added benefit. It's good. It's good. It's great. Glad that it works that way. But there are plenty of positions that the left holds, even when it's not exactly popular. The left holds those positions because they're true, right? It wasn't popular to advocate for Palestinian emancipation after October 7. It wasn't popular before October 7. We didn't do that to win elections. We did that because it's just the correct position to hold. We did that because it was the just position to hold. Same with Cuba. Right now, many people don't understand what the fuck's going on in Cuba. They don't care. But that doesn't change the reality that we are starving Cuba. That must end, especially as Donald Trump now talks about potentially bombing Cuba. The idea that you are acknowledging this but not doing anything to change it is showing me everything I already knew about your calculations. It's purely performative. For us, it's not performative. We actually do want something. What good is democracy what good is democracy if your candidate wins and then they don't advance your interests? It's nothing then. It's just team sports. You're going back to simply team sports, okay? It's just fucking team sports. That's not what politics is about. Politics is about winning power. Not just winning power for your team, not just winning power for Team Democrats. It's about winning power for your people, winning power for your neighbors, winning power for your friends and your family, winning power for the working class. That's what politics is about. And these guys who don't even get fucking paid in many circumstances are just on a team that doesn't represent them. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. I truly, truly do not understand it. Anyway, yeah, there's another Atlantic article this time about the Yair Rosenberg wrote about me. The problem with the Sondpiker's Einstein story, people scrutinizing influencers for their views should also hold them to account for their facts. He's going to say Einstein was actually an Omega Zionist. How dare you? And not a socialist at all, you know? I assume. I haven't read it yet. But in any case, it's very fun that Atlantic, which is whose editor-in-chief is a Israeli concentration camp prison guard, famously, is very frustrated with my presence. But we have Manu Raju, how a must-win Michigan Senate race just became a GOP opening. Let's take a look.
More bullish about their chances of flipping the Senate. But in Michigan, a primary fight could douse those hopes.
Donald Trump should not be the president.
I'm leading the articles of impeachment on RFK Jr.
People love to say, well, it's because he's Arab and Muslim. No, it's because I'm from Michigan.
What started as an intra-party feud now is a clash over the party's future, what it stands for in the Trump era, and just how far left they should go. The battle includes former public health official Abdul El Sayed, a 41-year-old who is backed by Bernie Sanders and is staking out the most progressive positions.
This is about electability. Your party wants to hold on to this seat, of course.
There is this notion that electability is about being the least offensive. If that were true, why would Donald Trump have won the presidency twice? And too often in the Democratic Party, we're willing to move on our positions because of what Republicans say about us. I don't back down to anyone on anything.
Whoo! God damn, that's a good take. That's bars. And it's true. And I think that's a winning message. I think that's not only a winning message in the Democratic primary, but I also think that's a winning message in the general. That is a convincing message. As long as you have your convictions, as long as you say the truth, I think we have to give people more credit. I know that we can get more people on board. Independents, moderates, people who have left the Democratic Party are willing to return. And many of them will. This is the thing, right? The Democratic Party knows that many of them will reluctantly return. Do we want them to reluctantly return and vote against Republicans, or do we want them to vote for change? What do you think is going to be a message that resonates? What do you think is going to create long-standing support to ensure that Republicans never win again? We don't want people to reluctantly vote against the Republican Party. We want people to enthusiastically vote for candidates. That's the major difference between us in this community and the centrist Democrats that demand incremental change.
Party establishment has its own favorite, Haley Stevens, a more moderate congresswoman from the Detroit suburbs.
Every single poll shows I'm the best person or the only person that can beat Mike Rogers.
And then there's a state senator, Mallory McMorrow, angling for both wings of the party, while offering this warning as the GOP unites behind Mike Rogers, a former congressman who narrowly lost a Senate bid in 2024, as they aim to make Michigan their firewall to prevent Democrats from netting the 4 seats they need to win back power.
And if he wins this seat, if they are successful in trying to buy this seat, then there is no path at all for Democrats to take control of the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, they're not going to win. Like that's the thing. Like who is more likely to lose to Mike Rogers? I personally think someone who is wishy-washy in the center on issues, or someone who's an establishment Democrat. This is what happened in 2024 in Michigan, right? Yes, the conditions are different. Yes, currently the environment favors the Democrats, but it's too big of a risk, in my opinion. It's too big of a risk to go for someone who openly says, I am trying to win the Goldilocks voter, you know, some of the more conservatives within the Democratic primary system, and also some of the more progressives. Like, I'm going to try to vacuum up as many votes as possible, because that reads as insincere. Okay? That reads as insincere. That reads as business as usual politics. And people want fighters. People want a candidate that you know what they represent. People want candidates that they are assured will fight for them, right?
The GOP outside group is preparing to spend a staggering $45 million in the final weeks of the midterms, more than any other pickup opportunity, all as Rogers now has a bigger war chest than any of his 3 would-be opponents.
That's not going to be an
Democrats
issue.
struggling with a thorny question in this swing state that President Donald Trump narrowly won twice and lost once. Should they nominate a firebrand to energize the base and take a harder line?
Anybody committed to shutting down Trump and the MAGA movement, that's
number one for you.
That's number one.
Or a more traditional Democrat, or even a leadership ally who could appeal to swing voters like this one.
Your vote is up for grabs.
It very much is.
So it could be either Democrat or Republican.
It could be.
Speaking to CNN in his hometown of Ann Arbor, El Sayed went further to the left than his foes on issues like abolishing ICE.
It's just the same lack of courage that Democrats deploy to argue as to why they should be taking money from corporations, or why they should be hedging their bets on clear, obvious policies like abolishing ICE or guaranteeing health care through Medicare for all. And I think what you're seeing in this race right now is that people are sick and tired of the same old Democrats who lack courage.
But a glaring divide is...
Is the dog allowed to move today? No. Yeah. You forgot. The new meta isn't that the dog is not allowed to move. The new meta is, oh my God, where is the dog? Did you kill the dog? Okay. Here, look, place. Look at that. I've shocked her so much. She's dead. Do you see that? She's literally dead. She's not even responding to the electrocution. Yeah, the new meta is the dog is never there. Rotisserie chicken. Anyway, let's continue.
over Israel in a state with a huge Arab American community in Dearborn and a big Jewish voting bloc.
So I'm
in
guessing
Oakland
the dog
County.
isn't allowed to move today based on the angry replies. Is this person not watching the stream? Are they watching on... Are they just like watching, not... They're just watching the chat, I think. Or maybe just a bot. Do you not understand? We're explaining it to you. Yeah, the dog is not allowed to move. I like that you don't even know... I like that you don't even know the name of my dog, by the way. You're just in here. You're in it. You're in it for just pure shit talk, okay? Audio only mode, maybe not even. Audio only mode, but on mute. Just in it, looking at the chat, seeing what kind of reactions he can get from the fucking community. Why are you letting trolls annoy you? They're winning. I mean, they're not. This is not annoying me at all. I'm having fun with it.
Supporting Abdul.
Because he's not taking AIPAC money.
He's against the apartheid, against sending tax money to fund a genocide in Israel.
An independent UN inquiry concluded last year that Israel had committed genocide against Palestinians in Gaza, an accusation the Israeli government firmly rejects. El Sayed, a son of Egyptian immigrants who's born in Michigan and lost to Governor Gretchen Whitmer in a tense 2018 primary, was blunt on his views.
You said the Israeli government is evil. Do you think they're just as evil as Hamas?
Yes, killing tens of thousands of people makes you pretty damn evil. It's not how evil is this one versus that one. Hamas, evil. Israeli government, evil. We could say both.
Is Netanyahu, in your view, war criminal? He's a war criminal?
Absolutely. Do you not think he is? When you conduct a genocide, you're a war criminal.
What do you make of
It's so basic too. It's just like kind of funny when people are like, well, how can you say that? It's like, I don't know. This is just like the most basic position of all time, you know? It's the most basic position of all time. What are we talking about? And it's also the overwhelming majority position. It's the position of virtually every human rights group. It's the position of the ICC. It's the position of the ICJ. You know, it doesn't make any sense. It's unbelievable that people are afraid to say it, right? Why is Ranu scared of you? Manu, you mean? He's not. He's actually invited me to do his show. We just never had the time to be able to do it. He's not.
The fact that Haley Stevens is backed by AIPAC.
I find that disastrous for our politics. And you should be more interested in what's happening in Michigan than you are interested in what's happening in Tel Aviv.
But about 60 miles away in Lansing, one Stevens supporter touts the Congresswoman's support for Israel.
It's a normal position for normal Democrats to support and, you know, be allies with Israel.
No, it's not. You are literally, again, you are in the unbelievably tiny sliver minority at this point in the Democratic Party. You are totally, this is not a normal position, okay? This is like being an anti-abortion Democrat, okay? Right now, overwhelmingly, Democrats are pro bodily autonomy for women, okay? Perhaps at a different time, at a different place, that was not the case. But now it's a 90-10 issue, right? So is Israel. So when you come out and you're like, well, you know, it's good. It's good that we are still supporting and sending weapons and sending money to this foreign country that's committing a genocide and doing a litany of war crimes and dominating American foreign policy in a very meaningful way. Taking up so much of our bandwidth, basically playing Trump like a fiddle, causing gas prices to go up as a consequence of manipulating the American administrative state into taking violent action against a totally separate sovereign nation like Iran. Like, that is an unbelievably unpopular position, okay? No one wants this. And it's not just even the Democratic Party. Outside of the Democratic Party, people are like, nah, we're done. We're done. We're done. We're fucking done.
I'm a normal Democrat. I want to vote for a normal Democrat.
The 42-year-old Stevens, who first won a battleground district in 2018, is running a middle-of-the-road campaign and wants to stay focused on economic issues.
You have the support of AIPAC in this race. I'm wondering, do you embrace that support?
Well, look, I'm campaigning in a grassroots way alongside a ton of engaged Michiganders.
But there's also talk about, from some of your opponents here, that Israel, in their view, committed genocide in Gaza. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that. And like I said, I've been very consistent on this issue, Manu. I just think we need to see long-term peace. We need to make...
Is that position...
Oh my God. Manu has more smoke for the pro-AIPAC Democrat in this race. Oh my stars and garters, what am I seeing? What am I seeing? A sea change. That's what. Oh my God. Manu Raju interviewed a candidate who said Israel is evil and had less pushback for the candidate who said Israel is evil versus a candidate who is openly pro-Israel. This is a tide shift. You have to understand. Now, this is not going to be the same for Dana Bash. It's not going to be the same for Jake Tapper. But the very fact that CNN, one of the major anchors on CNN, is now conducting interviews like this that is more adversarial towards the pro-Israel position means that we have seen such a dramatic change in attitude in American politics. Such a dramatic change in attitude in American politics that even CNN is being more responsive to this change. Okay? That is unbelievable. This doesn't mean that the entire institution all of a sudden is going to be anti-Zionist. Okay? Yeah. Eitan Nechin from Haaretz says, it says a lot about our political discourse that something as a no-brainer that Hamas are evil is treated as a gotcha question. The smart candidates are taking this opportunity to shine the light back on Israel's messianic government. Once again, wait, what is this? Obviously, this is a stupid question, but whoever hosts Hassan Fikri at an election rally brought it on themselves. Sure, I'm talking about Saeed's clever response. I'm saying this is an easy pivot that puts the pressure back on pro-Israel leadership in the DNC and beyond to condemn the Israeli government. Hamas is evil, so is Ben Gvir, is a pretty easy sell. Now, Hassan Fikri is funny. It's not a dumb question after 10-7. It reflects the remarkable pro-Hamas tilt in activist circles and on the Hassan Piker wing of the left, now being courted by the DNC. Also, Hamas apologetics on the Jewish left, the JVP, and Jewish currents. So here's the thing. Okay? People coming on board with this position is good, okay? It means that discourse has shifted. Obviously, no person that's running for Senate on the Democratic Party side is going to be like, Hamas is a militant resistance group that is exercising their legal right to militarily resist against an apartheid state, right? We're not there yet, unfortunately. It's the truth, and I will say the truth, but the expectation from, politicians, especially that have an unbelievable spotlight on this, is not going to be for them to say the entire truth. Hopefully one day, okay? Once the dust is settled, you will see. But the very fact that someone can openly say, like, look, dude, it's just, this conversation is not even about Hamas. It's about Israel. And the conversation shouldn't even be about Israel. It's a done deal amongst the base of support is good. Okay? It's good. Watch out for co-opting operations like Libs did with BLM. Okay, no one at this stage of the discourse, people are not co-opting an Israel is evil message, okay? The co-optation is taking place. The co-opting is taking place on the McMorrow wing of the party where they'll be like, well, Israel is doing a lot of mean things, but we still need to give them weapons. That's people trying to co-opt that message, right? That's people trying to co-opt that message. But the reality is, anyone that just straight up says embargo, accountability for Israel, that's not a message that is co-optable by the political class as it stands currently. Okay? That is not a message that is co-optable by the political wing of the party or the candidates themselves. So anyone that will come out and be like, no, we have to do accountability to Israel, this is ridiculous. That's good.
It's going to hurt you in Dearborn where you need those Arab voters.
Look, I'm out here every single day hearing from Michiganders who are dealing with rising costs, who are worried about their jobs.
McMorrow, the 39-year-old Democratic whip in the state Senate, goes further than Stevens.
Do you think that Benjamin Netanyahu has committed war crimes in Gaza?
I do.
HasanAbi, I'm coming for HasanAbi. HasanAbi, I'm coming for you. Buddy, you got to dial it back, okay? Be normal, please. It's weird.
Watching the devastation, I do believe the war crimes were committed.
As she stumps in breweries, including one in the Detroit suburb of Canton.
I like Mallory. She's a tough talker.
McMorrow says El Sayed's rhetoric does not match reality.
Rhetoric is nice, but
That's what the chatter said. Chatter said,
I'm going to come.
results are better.
Do you think that he is pretty much all rhetoric, his campaign?
I think a lot of it is.
Is the Democratic Party looking for someone, though, who really wants to shake things up?
Absolutely. Just doing rallies and talking about issues and having rhetoric without knowing how to actually implement those things is not going to shake it up at all. That's just lobbing bombs from the outside.
Yet McMorrow has drawn criticism from El Sayed for shifting her stances on issues such as Israel and corporate PAC money.
It's not just your positions, it's about whether or not you truly and deeply hold on to them.
But does it look like to you that...
yeah, that's a classic that's a classic take of like, I'm a serious candidate. My opposition is a die in the wool activist who will try to gain as much support as possible, but they're not serious about doing politics. That's bullshit. We saw that with Zoran. People said that exact same thing about Zoran. Zoran is a better governor, okay? And I don't mean like literally the governor of New York. Obviously, that's not his position. He's a mayor, but he is a better politician, a better elected than 99.9% of Democrats, right? Centrist Democrats try to weaponize this moderate framework as though it means that you will be a better candidate. It means that you will be a better politician once elected. It's not the case, okay? Governance, not governor, governance. Zoran Mamdani has shown that no, actually, being the most left, being the leftmost candidate doesn't just mean you're engaging in empty rhetoric. Okay. I think this kind of attack from the center towards its left flank is also turning into bullshit.
McMorrow is shifting her position. She does not have the same deeply held views as you.
I know where my positions are, and it's clear that she's moved on a lot of these questions.
While Stevens accepts corporate PAC money, McMorrow says she now refuses it after accepting it in past campaigns.
That's a change. That's a flip.
McMorrow defends her pivot.
Over the years, I learned that not only can we campaign...
She's like, you don't understand. Like, corporate PAC money, Israel, I've grown from my positions since last year. Okay. I've learned, I've grown. Okay. Well, when Abdul was running in 2018 in the governor's race, right, in the gubernatorial race, he knew about those positions ahead of time. So maybe it's time to reward people who were right all along instead of assuming that whatever positions they take now are far too radical now. You arrived at our side, our positions. Great, wonderful, fantastic. But you can't use your newcomer status to yell at people who have already been there while simultaneously talking about other positions that they currently hold that you might adopt 2 cycles from now.
differently, but we can't be Republican light. And I am willing to be somebody who evolves.
El Sayed has accused McMorrow of co-opting his positions and copying his homework poorly.
This is governing, it's not middle school.
Yet it's El Sayed who has generated the most headlines, like when he barnstormed college campuses with widely followed left-wing streamer Hassan Piker, who has a history of inflammatory comments, including saying Hamas is a, quote, 1,000 times better than Israel.
I love that. I love when they put that shit on CNN because I feel like the CNN audience is going to hear that and be like, wait a minute.
Comments, including saying
look,
Hamas is a, quote,
This statement is perfectly positioned to sound controversial, but it causes people to think about it and reflect on it and arrive at a position that CNN executives don't want to hear, that politicians don't want to hear at all. Okay? Because most people, especially in 2026, when they hear that, they go, yeah, I kind of understand what that is. I get where that's coming from. I'm not the biggest fan of Hamas, right? But that is a quantifiable statement to make. It's got something for everybody in it, okay? That's why I made it. Like, it's a statement to force people to reflect on. Okay? Incorrect comparison? Why? Oh, because I'm not saying Likud versus Hamas. Is that what it is? Well, Hamas is the expression of the Palestinian resistance, just as, Israel, as it stands currently, is Likud, okay? Is the coalition that Likud has put together. So that's the reason why I don't have an issue making this comparison. There's also a problem with this sentiment for those who want to oppose it, right? For those who want to oppose it, they can't make the argument on the numbers. They can't turn around and say, no, here's why Israel is actually a lot better. They can't. That's why it's a perfect statement, in my opinion. But the very act of having this conversation itself moves the needle in our direction. This is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. Okay? It's a very good thing.
1,000 times better than Israel. And this about the 9/11 attacks.
America deserved 9/11, dude. F it. I'm saying it.
While Piker later walked back the remarks about 9/11, El Sayed's opponents have seized on them.
Should he have brought him in to campaign with him?
I wouldn't have.
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's not someone I'd be campaigning with.
Why not?
Because it's un-American. And we shouldn't say that America is, deserved 9/11. This is about winning for Michigan.
El Sayed pushes back.
What do you say?
My understanding of America is it's a place where we have freedom of speech. My understanding of America is it's a place where we're willing to have conversations with folks with whom we disagree. I went on Fox and Friends this morning. Is it un-American to go and speak on Fox and Friends, or are we drawing certain kinds of lines? And it's that penchant for cancel culture that I think people hate about Democrats.
But you're actively campaigning with him. This is a choice you're making. So,
for sure.
So why make that choice to actively campaign with them?
Because I know that he's having a conversation with a number of folks who feel locked out.
Part of that conversation is whether...
Yep. Oh, no. Haley Stevens doesn't want me on her side. What are we going to do?
The party should dump Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, whom Stevens has praised.
You had called Chuck Schumer a great leader. Do you stand by that?
Look, inside baseball, look, you know what? That kind of stuff we'll deal with when I get there.
But
oh, my God. I think, this... Like a Stevens versus Abdul matchup would be so insane too. Like if McMorrow wasn't in the cards right now, like can you imagine a Stevens versus Abdul matchup, dude? It would be Graham Plattner 2.0. Okay, it would be another Graham Plattner victory condition because she has no redeemable qualities. Like she is an AIPAC stooge. She's pro Chuck Schumer. Like it is so. It is so bad. It is so bad. It's literally just a classic battle of the establishment wing of the party that has delivered failure after failure versus this rising left flank that has a lot of momentum on its side. Unfortunately, elections are not lost and won on that popular momentum. I know it sounds crazy to say because that's what elections are supposed to be. Who you got on your side, how many people are on board with your message, right? But that's just not how elections work in the United States of America because it's not necessarily about whose message you abide by, who you genuinely believe is going to earnestly fight for your rights. It's more so about campaign ads backed by different foreign interest groups and corporate lobbies that are just going to inundate you with a barrage of ridiculous attack ads that actually cut away from your message, that try to undermine your message. But even then, I think Abdul has done a fairly decent job, especially cutting through that noise.
McMorrow says it's time for a change.
We need new leadership in the Senate.
Haley Stevens told me that that's an inside baseball discussion.
I can tell you what I hear on the ground, which is people want a better Democratic Party.
Let's turn back to my panel, including David Weigel, who's been covering this as well.
Shit.
And David, you tweet that kind of summed up basically the entire premise here. The entire primary, basically, El Sayed, I'm taking the most maximal left-wing position. McMorrow, I wouldn't go that far. Stevens, oh golly, I love manufacturing. It kind of speaks to where we're seeing the party. How do you see this?
You like to be pithy.
Yes.
But that's been the dynamic for a year. El Sayed got in a year ago and just put down his stakes as the Bernie candidate, day one endorsement from Bernie Sanders, who's been more aggressive, I think, this cycle than the past in saying, these are my candidates. You guys don't know how to win. I do. One of the challenges of Michigan is Democrats do know how to win Michigan, not against Trump twice, but Michigan has a record of senators who are not that flashy, who do the work. Debbie Stabenow and Gary Peters get reelected despite not being social media stars. And the offer that they have is from El Sayed, a very aggressive, progressive to the left-wing media star. McMorrow has been, there's a reason she was on stage as a state senator at the DNC in prime time. McMorrow's a communicator that Democrats feel very comfortable with. Stevens is, I was in Michigan when she won her 2022 member-on-member primary with the help of AIPAC. That and the idea that Chuck Schumer supports her are very unpopular when I talk to Michigan Democratic voters, even moderate Democratic voters. The fact that AIPAC was for her in 2022 was coming up a year ago. I think it's probably coming up much more now that she can't be trusted on not just the intricacies of Gaza, but that she is a D.C. establishment Democrat. And even though we had those very recently in Michigan, maybe we need something
Completely different now. Stevens and McMorrow, we can't let Republicans win. Abdul, here are the policies I will fight for. How about we just let Michigan vote in the primary and let them choose who they want? A handsome, charismatic man is running unpopular policies that will help the working people. Here's why that's bad for Democrats. We can't run candidates that promise to do things. We might alienate the people who would prefer we did the exact opposite of what most people want. Every poll shows I'm the best person to beat Mike Rogers. What does that even mean? I hate this labeling of Al Sayed as a firebrand on the far left, calling out a genocide and Netanyahu as a war criminal. I guess now it's considered a firebrand. Supporting the working class is now considered far left. He is the only candidate not bought by corporate interests. No to AIPAC, yes to Medicare for all, increase taxes on billionaires, close loopholes, simple. Damn, people are really responding. Absolutely abolish ICE. See, this is what it is. Like, I mean, it's just CNN comments, but like people resonate with this. It's not a radical position at all. Like, even Dave Weigel says, like, oh, Abdul's saying, like, I'm going to take the most maximally left-wing position. The reality is we could go a lot further left than that in this country, right? We could go a lot further left than that. I'm certainly a lot further left than Abdul on many of these issues. But, like, from the perspective of mainstream media, a guy who comes out and says, why are we spending all of our tax dollars on a foreign nation that is like blowing up fucking schools instead of spending our tax dollars on building schools here in the United States of America? Why can't we do Medicare for all? Why can't we stop Israel, restrain Israel? Like, these are not maximally left-wing positions at all. These are actually perfectly understandable majoritarian positions, okay? It's just seen as maximally left-wing positions on CNN. It's seen as maximally left-wing positions on even MS Now. And it is seen as maximally left-wing positions on the DNC side of things, right? There is this massive divergence between the party and the people. And that same exact divergence actually exists within the media class as well, as opposed to the working class. And candidates like Abdul, I think, are exposing that contradiction, exposing that divergence by being the guy who is more responsive to the needs of the masses. So we shall see.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris was in Detroit today speaking at the Democratic Women's Caucus luncheon, and she did not hold back.
We are dealing with the most corrupt, callous, and incompetent presidential administration in the history of the United States. Period.
Period. Michigan is shaping up to be one of the most closely watched Senate races of this entire cycle. And one progressive candidate is already pulling in major national endorsements. Abdul El Sayed, a physician, a former Detroit health director, and a 2018 candidate for governor, has now earned the backing of Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. A new Emerson College poll shows a neck-and-neck race between El Sayed and Mallory McMorrow at 24% each. But a large percentage of likely primary voters remains undecided. And Abdul El Sayed joins us now. Thank you for being with us, sir. It is good to talk to you. I want to get into, right off the top, the Iranian war. It is really something that is on the minds of a number of Americans. And Dearborn, Michigan is home to the largest concentration of Lebanese Americans in the U.S. So what are you hearing about this ceasefire deal between Israel and Lebanon from some of the people in Dearborn and throughout Michigan?
Obviously, we always pray for peace, but we've got to ask ourselves what we actually got out of this in the first place. Why did we even fight this war? It's hard to make any sense out of any American lack of war aims because it changed every day. But you have to remember who did have war aims. Benjamin Netanyahu has
set to it, Ron. Thank you for the 10 gift of subs.
Been trying to get this war fought for the past.
If El Sayed wins the primary, what are his chances of winning the general? It's not. It's a lock. It's the easiest lock of my life. It is the easiest guarantee of all time. Okay. For a lot of leftist candidates, it's much harder to get out of the primary than it is to beat the Republican opposition in the general. Okay. Especially someone like Mike Rogers. Abdul is a perfect counter to Mike Rogers, right? He's Michigan through and through. And on top of that, he has a background in public health in the state of Michigan. Mike Rogers has done quite a bit in terms of undermining public health, not just in Michigan, but all across the country, with his affiliations with Big Pharma, right? With his background on Big Pharma, he has actually started tailoring his message against Mike Rogers as well, talking about how like Mike Rogers is responsible for the opioid deaths in this country. So like there is a perfect foil situation here as well.
40 years, he finally found a president dumb enough to do it. And you look at where we are now. Israel has used this opportunity to try and, in effect, annex southern Lebanon, and that's exactly what they've done. So people are afraid and they're sad, they're hoping and praying for peace. But then for everybody, you think about the spike in your gas prices and the fact that your own tax dollars are what was used to spike those gas prices. I think all of us have to look back and ask, how the hell did we get here?
I want you to hear what some people have been saying about this ceasefire deal. I think some people are questioning whether there truly is a ceasefire right now, but between Israel and Lebanon. Take a listen to this, and I'll have a question for you on the other side.
I'm not entirely confident, no. Unfortunately, I wish I could be because I am so scared and worried about all of my relatives that are there right now. And it's absolutely heart-wrenching to see the news.
My elementary school, my childhood home, a lot of memories have been wiped out in South Lebanon. It's going to be very, very hard for the people to rebuild. And quite honestly, I'm not optimistic about this ceasefire, because we had a ceasefire in November of 24, and Israel did not comply.
Can I ask you how you think not just this current moment of war, but the last several years of war have changed Americans of all backgrounds, of all life experiences, how it has changed their understanding, not just of the world, but also of the way that our tax dollars have been used, and how you see that impacting this campaign, because you see it so much, not just from Lebanese Americans in Michigan, but so many Americans who seem to actually understand our current domestic conditions differently because of what they've seen unfold on the international stage.
You know, I think you're exactly right. I was the health director for Wayne County. I served the community from which both of those two individuals, who I know personally, come from. And every time you come up with a plan to do something like put glasses on kids' faces or eliminate medical debt or provide new small businesses health insurance, everybody says, doctor, how are you going to pay for that? But then we've got a general who wants to draw up war plans to bomb Iran. Nobody asks, General, how are you going to pay for that? And I think that's exactly what's wrong with our politics. I think for many Americans, they're opening their eyes to the fact that for most of my life, if you're under 40, you've watched our country go to wars and you ask, to what end? You see service members broken over it. You see tax dollars spent on it. And you see all of the things that your government should be doing for you not getting done. And so I think a lot of people are finally opening their eyes and asking, I don't pay my taxes so that another country gets a bomb or a tank. I don't pay my taxes to kill other people's kids. I pay my taxes so that our kids get good schools and can walk sidewalks that are actually functional, can drive clean roads, can get health care. And so I think for a lot of people, they're opening their eyes, whether they're Lebanese in a community like Dearborn or they're anywhere in the rest of the state. And I got to tell you, I've been in 90 cities. People ask the same sets of questions about why are we doing that instead of taking care of my kid or rebuilding my kid's schools?
Doctor, you have traveled and canvassed so much of the state. So I want to ask you to comment on some leaked audio that the Free Beacon obtained. And we're going to play the audio and then...
That's crazy. This is MS Now, dude. What the fuck? MS Now playing Washington Free Beacon? Oh, brother. I swear to God, center-right liberals turn into... Center-right liberals turn into MAGA the moment that you got a left flank candidate on the board, okay? It is truly unbelievable to watch. I mean, that's crazy. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're going to run with the framing? You're going to run with the framing of the Washington Free Beacon? The Washington Free Beacon is a newspaper that perfectly captures the Hitler particles, okay? Why the fuck are you running with their hit job? It doesn't make any sense.
I'll come to you at the end of it.
I also want to remind you guys that there are a lot of people in Dearborn who are sad today. So, like, I just don't want to comment on Khamenei at all. Like, I don't think it's worth even touching that.
So, Doctor, this was a day after the strike that killed the supreme leader. And I just want to ask about your political calculation here. What's the constituency in Dearborn that was mourning this assassination?
I think anybody in Dearborn or the rest of the state who believes that there's a rule of law was mourning an illegal, unjustifiable war. There are terrible leaders all over the world. The reason why we go after somebody in Venezuela or we go after somebody in Iran, those are open questions when you see the president cavorting with leaders in places like Qatar or places like the UAE and Saudi Arabia. And so I think there are people who are frustrated by the fact that there was no justification for this war. It was entirely illegal because only Congress gets to declare war. And I think everybody is frustrated about the fact that when you go and fill up your gas tank, you're paying $20 more. I think it's important for policymakers to step back and ask, do we just jump in whenever...
I don't understand how it's controversial to be sad about anyone's death. I mean, look, dude. It's a totally ridiculous hit job from a dude that was in his campaign that got access still after he left the campaign, that had access to these private conversations. The long video, like if they were to play the entire video, which is like 27 minutes long or whatever, you hear his perspective on this issue. It's very clear. Where he just straight up is like, I think it's totally ridiculous that we're waging this war. It's unbelievable. It's going to have horrible consequences for America. It's going to have horrible consequences for Iranians. It's just like an unlimited death and destruction campaign. It's like perfectly clear what his position is. There's no defense for this. There is no defense for what Trump has done thus far. There's not even a defense for it from like a pro-American empire position. So, yes, I saw. She's traversing the fucking halls with the
president
band.
tells us that they're making war in our interest, or do we actually step back and ask, whose interest is this really? Who really benefits from this war? And I think I wanted to make sure that our campaign was not jumping right in, like unfortunately too many Democrats have, to do this incoherent thing where we're saying, well, if the president's taking us to war, then we have to stand right there with them. But at the same time, it was illegal because you didn't follow the procedure rules. No, it was illegal. It was unjustifiable. It was unethical. It's immoral. It should never have been waged. And so I think more leaders should actually be thinking about how we step in with our morals rather than just to be dictated by whichever way the political winds are flowing.
But I'm not asking about the policy.
Look. Oh my God. That's it. This is MS Now chat. Guys, we are watching supposedly the most liberal, the most like left media out there. Like that, this is unhinged. This is unbelievably unhinged, dude. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. Let's see what people are saying. El-Sayed is presidential. Thank you, Dr. El-Sayed, for saying what too many Democrats have garbled is an illegal war of naked aggression. Where's this pushback and asking good and tough questions what they have Republicans on? Disappointed in the gotcha questions for MS Now. So much truth resulting in a barrage of trolls. Primaries are coming, people, and our country desperately needs more people like El-Sayed. Mallory and Stevens are Israel first. Dr. El-Sayed will be an amazing senator. His expertise, intelligence, and well-spoken opinions backed by facts. It's just like, I don't understand why liberal media is still holding on to this thing. Like, I don't know why they are so oppositional to their left flank. I truly don't get it. I don't get it. Just be more normal. Be more responsive to the people's needs, please. Again, this is why I wasn't so critical on the Obama-Zoran link up. Okay?
Which certainly you're very eloquent about and why you're disagreeing. I'm asking about the political calculation and the choice that you made as a campaign to not weigh in, which earlier in the year, a few days after Charlie Kirk was died, you condemned his speech as xenophobic and hateful and did not hesitate. So what is with it?
Yeah, because Charlie Kirk is an American citizen that is MAGA. Commies on Twitter are cooking you about the Obama take. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not in this to deal with ultras, okay? With anti-electoral leftists in general. It's unbelievably irrelevant to have a conversation about that, okay? Commies on Twitter many of them are in my community as well, okay? The reality of the matter is we have an entirely different agenda when it comes to moving the needle, okay? We have a very different attitude. We have a very different method. We have a very different assessment of what the major problem is. Maybe they think that the revolutionary potential of the masses is here and it's happening, and there is an opportunity to create a communist party and sweep up the Marxist-Leninist vanguard in all of this fervor, okay? I don't believe that the time for that is here because I talk to a lot of people. I see their anger. I see their resentment. But what I also see is a lack of class consciousness and very little political education, okay? You have to build a vanguard before you automatically hit the socialism button or the communism button, right? It's that simple. Yeah, many people got mad at this. He's already in office. Why the fuck does he need credibility from peanut-brained liberals? This is it. Like, people don't understand. Zogsan explaining why Zogran Goidani has to appear with former droner-in-chief. It's just, it's such a strange position to be in because I eat it from all of the left flank, like all of the people who I'm ideologically aligned with, ironically enough. And then I also constantly get yelled at by fucking dumbass centrist liberals as well. I obviously have a lot more smoke for the centrist liberals because they do actually have power and they do use that power for evil, as opposed to Twitter chirpers who have no power whatsoever. All they're doing is chirping. So let them chirp is what I say. Okay? I'm not going to engage in like left bashing. I'm not going to punch left. I don't care. I am. It's fine. You're totally right. I am Zogsan, and I am a Zionist. I love the nation state of Israel. Talk to me when you make a convincing message where you explain the necessity or the morality of resistance groups against America and its allies on a liberal platform where you're able to actually cut across that message amongst liberals who do understand it. It's fine. It's okay. There is a reason why they're not yelling at random hammer and sickle posters on Twitter every day, on CNN and Fox News and MS Now, and they're yelling at me instead. Because you're chirping to the same echo chamber. I am trying to get this message across to people who are more understanding and more sympathetic. But it's all right. It's all right. If you can't comprehend why these people are all up in arms and not only yelling at people like myself, but also yelling at candidates that I have appeared alongside, you're unfortunately not very serious about what's going on here. These things all move the needle. These things all change the dynamic of the conversation. It takes a long time. Okay? It's not overnight. It takes a long ass fucking time. Did I say echo chamber? I meant echo chamber.
Is it about what
You got me. I said echo chamber instead of echo chamber. Yes, I'm a fucking stupid ass chud loser. I'm fucking dumb. I'm a libtard. I love Israel, and you guys got me. Okay.
Out of the aisle a person is on and who you're willing to risk offending when it comes to how you met out cancel culture?
Well, I don't mete out cancel culture, rather well known. I go everywhere, talk to everyone. I condemn what Charlie Kirk said because I thought it was racist and xenophobic. I'll also condemn what the Ayatollah said because he was a dictator on his own people. But the question is about whether or not our government had the right and the justification to assassinate a foreign leader. I think under Trump, we probably all agree that this administration has taken certain proclivities with the rule of law, and that has led to actions in places like Venezuela and Iran that are unjustifiable and unethical. Just because you disagree with somebody doesn't mean that you can assassinate them. That's what international law is supposed to protect from, and that's what I was talking about. So yeah, I disagree with the Ayatollah. I disagree with Charlie Kirk. I'll openly say that in every circumstance. But the question is whether or not that justifies assassination. I don't justify the assassination of Charlie Kirk. What happened to him was wrong, and I don't justify the assassination of a foreign leader without actually following through and making sure you're standing in account with both the laws of our country and international law.
Abdul, you were just talking about going everywhere and talking to anyone. And to that end, I do want to ask you about the heat you've taken with respect to the leftist podcaster, Hassan Piker, and folks in the Democratic Party and elsewhere saying that he's made anti-Semitic remarks, he's made racist remarks, this is not someone who you should be associating with. How do you justify or reconcile those types of conversations?
Oh, it's just like...
those types.
It's literally, it's MS Now, chat. It's fucking MS Now. Understand that we're no longer like quoting things that I've said. We're quoting of a quote off of a quote coming from the RNC. Okay. MS Now using Washington Free Beacon framing, Washington Free Beacon hit pieces, and also RNC framing on a leftist podcaster, leftist Twitch streamer, it gives the game away. Like, there is this weird convergence of interest here when you have someone who represents the interests of the masses. All of a sudden, everyone is just going crazy over this. Why is this person not talking about the updated remarks from someone like, Ezra Klein, for example? Why is MS Now currently using RNC framing, Fox News framing, rather than the framing of Ezra Klein? Ezra Klein is King Lib. You have to ask that question. Did they not read the Ezra Klein piece? I'm sure they saw it. Why are they still choosing to go along with right-wing framing on this?
Of connections with your campaign and your candidacy, with the need for Democrats to be able to reach audiences and voters that perhaps in 2024 they could not motivate to the polls?
Well, I'm just taking the lesson from 2024. There are two lessons there. The first one was Vice President Kamala Harris invited Hasan Piker to stream from the DNC. He went at the invitation of the vice president running for president at the time. I basically did the same thing. But the second lesson I took is that maybe we were not aggressive enough at making sure that we were reaching out to voters we could engage with. I understand that folks are frustrated about things that Hasan Piker has said. I don't agree with everything he said. I don't agree with everything you've said. I don't agree with everything anyone has said. That's just the nature of human interactions. But he has a very large platform. He talks to a lot of folks who feel locked out of our political system. And I think if we want to win elections, we have to figure out how to provide them an on-ramp back into our politics. So it's important for me to make sure that we're not locking out a whole segment of people who get their news from somebody like Hasan, and making sure that we're engaging with that platform. So I go everywhere and talk to everybody. In fact, the day that we had Hasan Piker in Michigan, I started my day on Fox and Friends. Now, those folks don't agree with me. I don't agree with them. But I want to be able to talk to the sliver of people who might be listening, who are open-minded, who say, you know what, I really do want to get money out of politics. I really do want to put money back in my pocket, and I want to pass Medicare for all. So I think we need to make sure that we step back out of this cancel culture situation where we're saying, oh, we can't talk to certain people because they said certain things, and make sure that we're creating a pathway back into politics for everyone. And that means having the courage to go and have a conversation in all different kinds of spaces, because you just might...
You were on with this guy, too, on the Don Lemon show. This argument is dumb, or am I wrong? Wait. He was the guy who was spitting fire on the Don Lemon show? Wait, what the fuck? He was cooking on the Don Lemon show. Why did he switch up on me? Was he the guy? Was he the same guy?
Talk to somebody who agrees with you.
I want to go back to policy for a moment with the bit of time that we have left with you. As we mentioned before, you're a physician, public health expert, and you've been running on a platform that includes...
He's on the clock, bro. Yeah.
Medicare for All. I think a moment ago I saw a Medicare for All book somewhere in the background of your shot, actually. And so I want to get your take on how that message, that movement is going over in Michigan, a state that many people view as, it's a very competitive, often kind of purpley state. You would think that there are in some parts of your state voters who that's a message they might not feel as comfortable with. And so when you look at the makeup of communities in Michigan, when you also just think about the current conditions in Congress right now, do you truly believe Medicare for All is viable?
Yes, absolutely. I'm proud actually to have co-written that book. And the reason I know it's viable is because I've taken this campaign all over the state. I was in Houghton, which is in the Upper Peninsula's Upper Peninsula. And we had 100 people in a room, many of whom voted for Donald Trump, who were there to have a conversation about what it means to guarantee health care. I think we do a disservice to our politics when we analyze it in this left-right frame and then try to fit people in the middle. That's not how the world works. People have all kinds of different opinions. I had a guy come up to me and said, I don't like you very much. I said, I'm sorry, I like you. He's like, I know. And it seems like you really want me to have health care. I said, I do. He's like, that's why I'm going to vote for you. So at the end of the day, I think it's important for us to make sure that we're having conversations about what the world could look like. We need a galvanizing ideal that brings people to the table about what they want. And right now, people are being destroyed by our healthcare system. You're talking about deductibles that are $6,000, and that's putting people into medical debt to the tune of 100 million people, $225 billion of medical debt in this country, in the richest, most powerful country in the world, as they burn $1 billion a day on war that we don't need to be fighting. So when you sit down and have a conversation and say, hey, listen, I'm a doctor. I literally trained in this system. I promise you we could do this right if we were willing to forego the corporations that tell us what we cannot have and the politicians who tell us what we should not fight for. So, yeah, I want to fight a fight so everybody can have health care. If I accomplish nothing less in my career in politics, I want everybody in this country to have health care. Imagine what that would feel like for people.
Dr. Abdul Al-Sayed, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lovely conversation.
All right, he cooked. And then last hit piece of Sunday,